Previously on Battlestar Galactica.
I have discovered that I'm missing one crucial bolt to make this whole thing work. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Brendan, aka Cliff Jumper here, and we are continuing a little bit of work on the Corrado today. We do have the missing bolt for the supercharger, but we have to set that aside this week because I just don't have enough time today to do the full install. So we're gonna come back to that. Instead, we're taking a little side detour with the Corrado, and let me show you what we're gonna do today. We have these wonderful Recaro seats in the car. And if you come over here, you will also notice we have this really interesting button that lets us turn on heated seats. What we don't have currently is the actual heater seat elements inside the Recaro seats. Now this Corrado came with black leather that was heated. However, I swapped out the original US spec leather seats for these Recaros. At the time, I did not have the seat heater elements to go into them, but now I do. And I also have a local guy who works on Recaro seats who is going to install the heated elements into these lovely, very comfy, highly bolstered Recaro seats, and then we'll have heated leather Recaros, which is just a really good thing. So we're gonna take out the seats, take the brackets off of them. I'll show you a little bit of the bracketry that we've got going on here. We may improve the brackets that are on here while we're doing this. It's one of those classic while you're in there kind of projects. And the guy that we're gonna give these to do the work, I don't know if he's gonna let us film or not. Maybe, we'll see. But if not, we'll at least do a little talk through of what he's gonna be doing. We'll reinstall them and then we'll have heated leather Recaros, which will be glorious. So that's what we're up to today. So let's get to it. Now, removing the Recaro seats or the factory seats, if you were going to do something similar in your own seats, let's say you have the non-heated seats and you want to add the heater elements to it, which you can find them, so that's a possibility. It's not too hard in this car. Right up here, there is a very tiny bolt, nut and bolt set. It's an Allen, I think it's a 5mm. On one side and either an 8 or 10 on the other standard hex bolt. So you remove that. And right here, there is a screw. You remove that screw. That is what prevents the seat from sliding backwards out of the rails when you're adjusting it. So it's not very high tech. One screw, one bolt, and then the whole thing slides backwards off of the rails. Then you can tilt it up, undo any sort of electric connections that are in there, and remove it. So let's get to that. Okay, so as I suspected, it is a 10mm socket on one side and a 5mm Allen wrench on the other. This should come off with really no drama. It's not torqued on with Kung Fu Voodoo Monkey Death Grip, just comes right off. And I'm just going to tie those together so I don't lose them. So that's done, and then the only other thing to do is this screw. Just remove that. So no drama, no fuss, no muss. It should just, oh, look at that. All right, screw is out. I'm gonna make sure that since I've got this cup holder here that we installed, that's closed so I don't kill it. You might have the inner trim that blocks the inner channel. There might be a cap screw holding this piece in place if your seats have never come out before. If you have, stays in place by itself. It doesn't actually need that screw, so you can just slide this in and it just locks in and stays there. So if you're reinstalling or you go to uninstall it and you find that it's kind of loose, see, here's a little cap that goes on there. It just pops off, pops back into place, keeps it looking neat. There is a tiny little screw that you could actually put in there, and there would be a screw on both sides, but it's very unnecessary. And at that point, all we have to do is lift up the slider to move the seat back and do so. Sometimes the lubricant underneath them gets really gummy over the years, so you might have to actually sit in the seat and push it back to get it out of the rails. Before we take it all the way out, I want you to see this. This is the bracket that it sits in. It should have this little rubber bushing. There should be grease on it. Mine is pretty dry, so I'm going to grease it up a lot when I put this back, so that helps the railing slide back and forth. You can see where the hole is that would prevent this from sliding out past the bolt. And this is the mechanism that locks the seat in place, that your little slider, I've got it locked outward so it'll be able to slide out. And then underneath there's some wiring for the seat heaters that are not currently hooked up, so that's already undone. So go ahead and continue sliding it out of the way. Here, it's some leftover tint from forever ago. It's a spring from the adjuster. Looks like gonna need to do some vacuuming and cleaning. It's a good opportunity to do that, but this is almost all the way out. And I do have the seat belt connector is here. Your seat belts do send a signal to the car to let them know that they're plugged in, so you need to unplug this so you don't ruin it and then have a seat belt light on your dash. So just squeeze the two things together, it comes right apart, and voila. Now, while I've got this up, you can see that my Recaro bracket that I made is definitely in need of some adjustment and some work. Basically, this is supposed to get sprung this way so that when it slides in the locking bracket that goes to the pins go through this bracket here to hold it in place at your forward and back position however you would like. Now you'll probably also notice this is a custom bracket. One of my friends created it based on my own schematics. So it is incorporating some pieces of the factory bracketry. And again, it needs a lot of lube down here. So I'll be lubing it up when I put it all back together. Maybe some new pieces because these look pretty worn. And welded that to a custom bracket so I can get the Recaro seats sitting as low as possible underneath here. There is no height adjustment in these Recaro brackets, none. So if you like the way that they sit, these are as low as you can possibly get them in a Corrado. Cannot get them any lower. This is the thinnest steel that we could get that would actually be structurally sound and do what we needed it to do. We're gonna go ahead and unbolt the brackets from the seat because he doesn't need the brackets in the way, and then he'll be able to deal with the seat stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt that while we're here. Save that. Trim piece, and the seat belt can come out of the way, and there we go. The bracket is out of the way. So here we go, the bottom of the seat. Now you can use, I understand there's hog ring pliers that hold all this stuff together, or hog rings, whatever. There are special tools you use to remove all of this stuff, and I am not going to be the one who does it because I don't want to screw them up. So we're going to turn it over to the care of a professional. Now, for those of you who are wondering what kind of Recaro seat this is, this started off life as a Recaro trophy from a Mk2 Jetta GLI, and it had the gray interior with the black vinyl sides, and I had the whole thing recovered in leather to match the interior of my black leather Corrado. If you try putting the Mk2 GLI Recaros straight into a Corrado, they will physically bolt in, but they will be 3.5 inches too tall. And there's also two different versions. There's a version with a manual height adjustment, and there's a version with power height adjustment. The power ones are the one that you can modify and work with. The brackets unbolt from the bottom of those seats, and you can bolt different brackets to them. The non-power ones, the manual height adjust Recaros, don't even bother with them. They will not work in a Corrado correctly unless you are 5 foot tall or shorter. If you are taller than 5 foot, the manual ones, just be aware they are much like the factory Corrado seats. The brackets are one piece with the bottom tray of your lower seat. They're not separate like these Recaros where you can unbolt them. It's very, very important to know if you're trying to get Recaros into your Corrado. So you can get a set of these out of a GLI and either get wedge engineering brackets and bolt them in, or you can custom fabricate your own like I did and really enjoy it. The ones that I engineered are basically what you would buy from Wedge Engineering now. I believe they used my schematics that I posted on VW Vortex 20 odd years ago. And I'm glad that they're producing those for people, because folks were reaching out to me asking me to make more brackets. I made a few sets, but I really didn't want to be doing that full time, and there wasn't a lucrative market in it either by the time you put all the labor into it. You know, I sold them at cost to a few people that are rocking them in their Corrados right now. But you can get the Wedge Engineering brackets, and they work great. You can cut them to be the height that you want in your Corrado. So you have to do some installing, measuring, adjusting, and reinstalling with those, but it's worth it in the end. And definitely having Recaros in your Corrado with these deep bolsters is just the best. I mean, they're like deeper than the bolsters on my R32. They're fantastic. That's some depth there. So I'm going to be taking these, getting the heater elements installed in them. We'll have them back in about 2 weeks, and we'll do a follow-up video once we install them, or maybe I'll include them as part of this video and just wrap it up then, but we'll see. All right, see how that goes.